Well, thank you so much this morning for joining us. Last week, I got to do one of the really great things you get to do as a mayor. I went to an immigration ceremony in the city of Albuquerque at the Albuquerque Convention Center. And I got to watch 197 people raise their hand to become United States citizens. And these folks came from 45 different countries. And I think it just is a reminder to all of us that we are an incredibly diverse nation. We are an incredibly diverse place. And there are people that want to make this their home, and they want to survive, and they want to and they want to thrive, and they want to prosper in the city of Albuquerque. And that's why today I'm just really excited to announce the formation of an Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs in the city of Albuquerque, specifically in the mayor's office. This is an effort that is being funded by the Kellogg Foundation, who has been a fantastic partner in the state of New Mexico, in the city of Albuquerque, and particularly during my time as mayor. They are putting $300,000 towards this effort. And this office we'll stand this office up sometime this summer. We've got our staff hired. Now we're in the process of continuing to work with our community and develop procedures and policies for this office. But the person that will be running this, he'll be talking in just a minute, Dr. Frank MIRABAL, is actually my director of public and private partnerships in the city of Albuquerque. But I'm looking for Mariala. Okay, she's right over here. So Mariala Ruiz Angel will be our director of the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs, and Terry Schletter will be our assistant. Terry is with us here today. Frank's going to give you some of the specifics of this office here in just a few minutes. Well, let me just start off by saying a couple of things. I've been your mayor now for 7 years. And there's always been rhetoric, both from the left and the right, as it involves immigration in the United States. But I don't think it's ever been ramped up to quite the level that we've seen most recently. And what you find out as a mayor is there's things you can do and there's things you can't do. And as the mayor, I'm one of these people that believes that we need to have immigration reform in this country. But I'm not in Congress, and I don't get to write that immigration reform. I'm a person that believes we need to be safe and secure in our communities, including border security, but I'm not the person in charge of border security. But what I am in charge of is my city and the people that live here. And they're wonderful people, and they are diverse. And it's incumbent upon us to make sure that if you live in the city of Albuquerque, we're giving you every opportunity and every chance to prosper and thrive. And that's what this Office of Immigration and Refugee Affairs will do. So, a lot of our refugees in the city of Albuquerque come from Cuba. Some come from Afghanistan. When I was a state legislator in House District 20, we had a lot of Rwandan refugees as well in our community. But the fact that 45 different countries were represented at the immigration ceremony last week tells you there's a tremendous breadth of immigration coming to the city of Albuquerque and really the nation as a whole. So this effort has taken over about a year to get to the point where we are today. As I said, in July of 2016, the Kellogg Foundation awarded a multi-year grant to the city, the $300,000. And the goal here is to set up an office that will do a couple of things. Improve family and economic well-being for immigrants and refugees in Albuquerque. Connect groups with culturally relevant and linguistically appropriate services within our city. A lot of faith-based programs, some city, some federal, some state programs that have connectability. We want to improve access to our community partners and our public facilities. A lot of our folks that live in the community as refugees in particular don't know what facilities and services are already available. We also want to inform city policy as it relates to immigration and refugees in our city. We're going to establish a central point of contact within city government to help navigate the city and community resources. And particularly, we're working on workforce development, early childhood, business development, legal services, and other support services. One of the things we've done, you've heard us talk about the Living Cities work that we're doing in the city of Albuquerque. One of the really interesting things that has happened with that work so far is called the Molino Project. And it stemmed from the Living Cities Albuquerque Integration Initiative, and it focuses on wealth building through establishment of successful micro-enterprises and Main Street businesses for all residents. And as I talk to the immigrant and refugee population, these are enterprising folks. They're great at starting businesses. They need some help starting businesses. Sometimes there's language barriers. Sometimes there's cultural barriers. There's lots of different reasons, but they have a lot of opportunity here, and our city has a lot of opportunity by them succeeding. We also have launched what's called a TREP Connect in the city of Albuquerque to bring everybody to the resources available for entrepreneurs in one centralized online platform. So once again, it's about lots of things, but it's mostly about making sure that people understand that we are a welcoming community, that we are a place that we want you and your family to be safe, and we want you to thrive. And so I'm going to let Frank MIRABAL tell you a little bit more about it, and he will introduce Mariela and Terry a little bit more. But I want to thank the folks that have come to meet with us today. Abbas is here from the Islamic Center. We've got Joel from Catholic Charities here. Catholic Charities does a tremendous amount of work with refugees in Catholic services in the city of Albuquerque. Reed West is here with us today. We have our teacher, I think, just came. Our teacher?
I think they're still on there.
I thought I saw somebody walk in. We have APS, English as a second language teacher, plus two students here today. And we also have IRVA, which I'll let Frank tell you about IRVA, and the Unitarian Church is with us here today as well. So this is a matter of pulling together as a community and seeing if we can cut through some of the rhetoric, cut through some of the fear, cut through some of the anxiety, and just let people know that if you're in our city, we're here to make sure that we can all do well, all of our brothers and sisters. So Frank, take it over and tell them all the details.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an exciting day for us to announce this office. This office is a result of conversations that have been going on for about an 18-month period. So these conversations started with immigrant and refugee communities, primarily is because we wanted to be an immigrant-friendly city for entrepreneurs. Because we know that immigrants and refugees start businesses at twice the rate as native-born entrepreneurs. So we just wanted to remove the barriers towards entry for business to start with. But as we heard these deeply personal testimonials, we came to find that we needed to be much more comprehensive in our approach, because we're hearing the pain and some of the obstacles that some of our immigrant and refugees are facing in our community. So what we envision is a model that's a clearinghouse of resources for immigrants and refugees in our community, whether they be within the city of Albuquerque or within our broader community. So part of this process of coming to be, we've done a national scan of offices of this type throughout the country. We've currently done an investigation of about 12 different offices. And what we're learning is that these offices do everything from workforce development to connecting entrepreneurs to resources to start their businesses, to integrating immigrants and refugees into the broader fabric of our civic society. And so we want to learn as much as we possibly can from these different offices, but we also want to assure people that we don't want to be cookie cutter in our approach. Albuquerque is unique. We have unique culture, unique languages spoken here. So we want to be the only Albuquerque that can exist in the world. So this office will reflect that tradition. It's also a very collaborative effort. We recognized when we went down this path that we're not the experts in immigrant and refugee rights. So we're partnered with organizations throughout our city, and they're informing us in terms of what we need to be doing, what programs we should offer, what policies we need to be pursuing. And so that's an iterative effort, and we'll continue to have these dialogues with community. Many of our partners that are part of this effort are here today, and Mayor's already pointed them out. So over the next few months, really what we want to do is start to build awareness of this office. If you're an immigrant or refugee in our community, we want you to know that Albuquerque is a welcoming place for you, and that we will have resources available for you either through our 22 city departments or through our community partners, and something that's tailored to what your needs are. So our vision also is to bring greater language access to immigrants and refugees throughout our great city. What we found in this process is that over 30% of Albuquerqueans speak a language other than English at home. So we want to be more inclusive language-wise as well, in our websites, in our brochures, and all materials that reflect City of Albuquerque's work. We also recognize that we have great infrastructure. We have community centers, we have libraries, we have places that people can come and gather, and what we want to do is bring relevant content into these centers and make it accessible to immigrants and refugees. So with that, I want to spend a little bit of time introducing our two new OIRA staff. So we have Mariela, Angel Ruiz, and Terry Schlater. Mariela comes from the border town of El Paso. She's the daughter of an immigrant. She's been working in the Albuquerque community for quite some time, and in this office in particular. So she has a wealth of knowledge of city government and how to connect with the broader community. Terry Schlater has worked on immigrant and refugee health issues for a number of years, and he's done community-based research and has worked as an evaluator. So both of them bring tremendous talent to this effort. What I want to also reinforce, as we're in the process of building this office, we've created a direct line for people to contact if you have questions about what's available for immigrants or refugees in our community, or if you just have a general, if you have some advice in terms of the direction we need to go in. That number is 505-768-3040. And we've also created an email address specifically for this project, and that email address is oira@cabq.gov. So oira@cabq.gov. We want to hear from folks. We want to make sure that that Albuquerque is a welcoming place, and that we're inclusive, and that we celebrate the diversity of people in our city. And so we want to hear from you. And so with that, those are all the comments I have.
I think our students just got here. Welcome.
So if you want to invite Rachel White up with the students.
All right, so
Yeah.
we have Rachel White.
Rachel, you want to bring your students?
bring the students
You want to bring the students up?
She's from Highland High.
What's
And-
that?
I think she's from Highland High.
Rachel, you're from Highland High School?
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
All right.
Good to see you.
Okay.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you. How are you? Hi, good to see you.
Nice to meet you.
How are you this morning? Good morning. So these students are, you want to talk a little bit about the program at all? You weren't supposed to, but
Yeah,
I love that.
sure.
Now that you're here, you want to tell,
Stand
you want
right
to
here, and if you guys will
tell,
scoot in.
come on in, tell folks about what you do at Highland in this program.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
So I teach at Highland High School, and Highland High School has the largest number of refugees in the state of New Mexico. Albuquerque is the only city that resettled refugees in our state. And we have over 70 refugees that have arrived in the past 2 years at Highland High School. So I'm the ESL, English as a Second Language, 1 and 2 teacher. So I teach the refugees, when they get here, basic computer skills, basic survival English skills, as well as the English language art content standards. So we have a really good time, and this is Anita. Anita, where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Tanzania.
And Fabrice?
I'm from Cameroon.
Cameroon?
Cameroon.
And Fazila, where are you from?
I'm from Afghanistan.
Afghanistan. Yeah, so we have students from all over the world at Highland High School. And yeah, it's a magical place.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you, and thank you for your work.
Them?
White. Oh,
Rachel White.
Rachel White.
Rachel White.
I can
So
write their
stay up here.
names
You
down.
stay up here. So we're going to take some questions here in just a minute. But so one of the things interesting we had. Thank you, Frank. And Frank's been with me for a number of years now. He's worked on everything from our integration initiatives to our collective impact to our innovations. He's really my innovation director at the city. Mariela actually started with us with our Bloomberg work, with our I teams, our innovation teams, and did some great work on that. And now we've shifted her over here to this office. So we have folks that have been involved with the administration for some time. But not too long ago, we sat in the same room and we had this entire room full of folks that are either immigrants or folks that work with immigrants in our community and refugees. And this kind of work that you're doing at Highland High School, where'd you go? There you are. It was really one of the key things that came up, talking about how to help kids assimilate, how to help them fit in, speak the language. But they also bring a breadth to the equation for kids that were born and raised here. When you meet someone who was born and raised in Albuquerque and they get to meet someone from Cameroon or someone from Afghanistan, it's magical for them too, because it broadens our understanding of all of our friends around the world. So I want to thank you all for your leadership as well, all three of you. And I'm honored that you would come today and share some time with us and talk about this important issue. So with that in mind, we'll be happy to take some questions if you have them, and hopefully we can answer them to your satisfaction.
Just to clarify, you said that these services are going to be offered out of the mayor's office, so there's no additional structure, building, or anything else?
No, there's an office in the back here that we're going to be using for that, and the grant money is all coming from Kellogg Foundation. So the salaries and such are paid for through the Kellogg grant, And so what we're providing here in the mayor's office is a space to work.
Why are you announcing it just now? I guess you received the grant.
Right. So we received the grant back in July. We've been, as Frank said, we've been working on this for about 18 months. And we got the grant award last July. So we've been doing these deep dives in the community, talking to the immigrant community, trying to set up a structure that we believe would work for everybody in our community. And we are just now to the point where Marielle is spinning over from the I team. She's just been brought on, so it's the time to do it. And then we'll have the official opening will be this summer. But I think it's just a good time to talk about it, and it just happens to be a timely time. But it's been, like I say, a lot of time, a lot of work in the making. That's it real quick. Thanks.
Are there any immigrants that would not be able to get assistance at this new person?
No, this is about helping immigrants and refugees in our community, and it's these services are available, and so if they need a connection, we'll make the connections.
And that means documented or undocumented?
Well, it's not our job to check that, so we won't even know. That's really not part of what this office is about. Once again, it kind of goes back to that thought that there's laws, there's rules, there's regulations, etc. But at the end of the day, we have immigrants and refugees that live in our city, so our job is to help them. And we have policies and procedures in place outside of this at the City of Albuquerque that will be adhered to. But this is just about helping people that live in our city. And there are others who make it their business on that front.
This comes a day after council met last night talking about Albuquerque being an immigrant-friendly city,
Right.
and we're so close to Santa Fe, which is a sanctuary city.
Mhm.
I mean, this seems very along the lines of a sanctuary city without calling Albuquerque.
Actually, a sanctuary city is if you don't cooperate with federal law enforcement to enforce federal laws. And Santa Fe has made a decision not to cooperate with federal authorities, and we do cooperate with federal authorities. So as much as you hear about sanctuary cities and as much as you hear about who is and who isn't, it really comes down to a very simple thing. Will you or will you not allow the federal government to enforce federal laws in your city? And we do that here, and in Santa Fe they've made different decisions. So ours actually came about my first year in office, where we simply allowed ICE officers to come down to our prisoner transport center and do their work. We don't do their work for them. We don't have our police officers checking. That's not our job. So we simply allow them to do their job, and that's why technically we're not considered a sanctuary city, and they are. Yeah. Some people would like to make it more complicated than that, but it's really not.
Do ICE officers, I understand that the ICE officers don't staff an office at the MDC anymore.
Correct. It's their choice. So it's their choice. So we don't demand that they be there. We just give them a place to be. So simply, when I talk about that as a mayor, I talk about sanctuary city for crime, and I don't want that. We want to be a welcoming place, and we are a welcoming place. But if you remember, when we started that program, two of the first people that came through when ICE was at our prisoner transport center that were detained, one was dealing heroin and the other one was accused of molesting a child at a gym. So this isn't about being friendly to immigrants, it's about being unfriendly to crime. And so, and everybody gets, they're mixed in with everybody else. And we told ICE, if you're going to check in our facility, you're going to check everyone. I don't want any racial profiling. You check one person, you check me if I get arrested, you check somebody else if they get arrested. So I don't see this as contradictory to that at all.
You mentioned a lot of the rhetoric that's going on. I mean, what kind of message do you think this city is sending by developing a center like this?
You know what I want to do as a mayor is I want to cut through that rhetoric. And what happens is when there's rhetoric on either side, the right or the left, what happens is people become more fearful than they would normally need to be. They become more anxious than they would normally need to be. They stop mixing with each other in the community as much as they normally would. So I believe that my job as the mayor is to basically set a foundation and be a calming influence and say, look, if you're here, there's opportunity for you. You're welcome here. There are things that we can do to help you because we know that you're ultimately going to be good for our community. That's what we're trying to do. I'm simply trying to do this in a way that is meaningful. Because at the end of the day, what does a fiery speech get you? well, it gets you a fiery speech. We're actually doing things in the city of Albuquerque. We're actually starting an office. We're actually providing opportunity to people. So I would invite all the people who are using words only today to start taking some real action like we're doing here in the city of Albuquerque. And I think if we all did that a little bit more, we'd all be a little bit better off.
Do you have any position on the memorial that the city council is going to be
Yeah,
taking up here?
yeah, no, I mean, we this is something that's been around since 2000. We're not, we are an immigrant-friendly city, and you have to decouple this idea about being immigrant-friendly and being a sanctuary city for crime. Those are two different things. So, yeah, we don't have any problem with the memorial. Thanks for coming, especially our students. I'm so glad you came today. You made our day. Let's give our students a big round of applause.